That's. I'm
Shut
scared.
up,
That
Craig.
just scared me.
Nah, this. All right, so discussion's just what goes
Oh,
harder,
okay.
Star Trek or
Like,
Star Wars.
I feel that's kind of a weird question because that's it. Just that like depends more on popularity as a whole rather than dialogue. I mean, like there are lines spoken in certain media that it's just all about popularity. Like nowadays, like "Live long and prosper" a long time ago, and probably a lot more memorable than certain lines featured recently in Star Wars. But Star Wars is obviously a lot more popular nowadays. And like I bet you guys can't name several lines in Star Trek, as is myself, anymore that are very well known since it's such kind of like a washed up
Well, you
series now.
could probably
Well,
Okay, wait.
name
Live long and
say
prosper.
some lines. I know that one.
Live long
Yeah.
and prosper with Spock's hand gesture. What's the
Yeah.
equivalent to that in Star Wars? And Star Trek started first.
I have
So.
the high ground, or
Okay.
I am your father.
That's a meme,
Yeah.
dude. Come on now. I mean, that guy was
Luke-
father because of the fucking memes.
Dude, I Am Your Father is probably the fucking most, like, popular line coming from fucking Star Wars, to be honest.
Luke, I am your
like-
father. Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, back then, they didn't even know that was, like, fans didn't even know that was the case. They kept that a complete secret back in the day. So whenever that was, like, revealed, people fucking lost their shit. So.
It's
Or-
not.
I feel that's less the line
Or the
and more the plot.
Chewbacca,
That's less the line
or the
and more the plot.
Chewbacca yell. Go ahead, GB. Hit him
No,
with
that
it.
doesn't count.
Wait, what?
Hit
I
him
step
with
on a
Chewbacca
nail.
yell.
Ah!
The line wasn't Luke, I am your father. It was no, I am your father. If you just said Luke, I am your father.
Okay,
that'd
if
be
it's so
better.
memorable, how come you guys get that line wrong?
Which one?
What does Captain Kirk say when he's like,
People,
when they're about to go on a mission?
if people,
Isn't
wait,
that
sorry,
line
just
supposed
really
to be
quick,
popular?
if I'm your father, like quote unquote, is so popular, how come literally half the people who quote it get it wrong? Live
That's
long and
because I Am
prosper
Your
isn't
Father
wrong.
Well, by that
No,
logic,
the
there's
I Am Your
stuff like
Father-
nip it in the bud" is one of like the most popular phrases ever, and it's constantly said wrong.
Okay, first
People
of
say
all,
nip it in the bud.
here's why people get the Star Wars phrase wrong, right? Because Star Wars is so popular that there's so many people quoting it. Eventually, it's going to get misquoted. There's only like 3 Star Trek fans, so there's no way they can.
I mean, no.
Big facts, actually.
You're
Big
the
facts.
only Star Trek fan in
This
here.
is against me because it's a lot older. It's an older generation. Like you guys, obviously, the lines in Star Wars are going to be a lot more relevant. Like if you, I
I'm
don't know,
not
if you
gonna
bring a
lie,
fucking,
I didn't
He's trying to
start
defend it.
liking
He's
Star
trying
Trek
hard.
until the last series.
Okay, here we
bring
go.
a fucking
I'll make it
retirement
fair.
home here and talk. It would whoop your ass on Star Trek knowledge. But,
All right, here. I'll make it fair. May the force be with you.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
no shit. I mean,
There you
That's
go.
like the
But-
greatest movie line, period.
they also like, in some ways, they like
Are y'all
aren't
really not gonna mention the best Star Wars line of all time by Samuel L. Jackson?
I like
Go ahead.
Star.
Wait a
I don't like
second.
that.
I'm tired of these motherfucking sits on this motherfucking council.
I mean, you have shit like, okay, we all know Long Long Prosper again is like the OG line, in relation to the hand gesture.
Yeah,
Like, mainly all this other shit is Spock, because I feel like Star Trek doesn't really rely on like the memorable quotes. It's more just like well-written dialogue and certain like they aren't Star Trek and Star Wars aren't the same in how they're written, how they're made, plot, etc. Different timelines.
All right, Vulcans versus Wookiees. Who's cooler?
Obviously, with Chewbacca solo. So
No, it's not power. It's how cool.
Howard
they are.
versus Chewbacca.
yeah, exactly. Chewbacca's the coolest Wookiee, and he's
All right, we can do
Vulcans.
two and Spock.
Vulcans are deeper characters, so I'm going to say them. Wookiees are one-dimensional.
How are they one dimensional?
Wow.
No, sorry, that's the
Leave
wrong
BC,
word. I meant like,
leave
I meant
BC.
like character-wise.
Whoa,
Not,
somebody
not
did
power.
not watch Solo.
Not
Somebody
power-wise,
did not
that was
watch
bad wording.
Solo.
I mean, like,
Leave
not-
VC when you have the chance.
I think Spock is a deeper
Yeah.
character than Chewbacca. Is anyone wrong? What's saying
Well,
that?
that's crazy, isn't it? That's
Splash is about to
crazy.
get in your ass, boy.
Get
Bro.
All right,
in.
listen. What
Come on now.
has Spock been through in his life?
Oh, here we go again.
What do you mean?
Like name some trials and tribulations of Spock.
Han destroying his planet with his mom on
Like
it.
if I
That's
remember
about it.
correctly, like Spock died basically how like every like submarine engineer died in World War II. Like the ship was gassing, and he's like, "Captain, get out of here."
The thing
The
about
Catholic
Spock, I
dip.
feel like he's
He
Do you
didn't
know
even
how,
die there.
bro? Do you know how Chewie? Yeah, he didn't even die, right? Do you know how Chewie died, bro? This man Chewie like threw a baby on a ship and screamed at a thing as it slammed into the planet.
He screamed at a planet as it fucking hit the planet he was on.
Dude,
Fucking yelled.
Chewie was a slave that was meant to kill Han Solo, and Han Solo just so happened to speak his language, and they became best friends. It's the greatest story ever.
Okay. Mainly. Wait. Going back to Spock, I feel like
Spock has elf
mainly
ears. Come on
his
now.
the context like with him was mainly like stated on the Enterprise itself. Like we don't really get the backstory until like later, productions like the original series and like animated series, etc. I feel like he's just more like here and now than he is. Like I think it's people like him because he's mysterious and like I don't know. He doesn't need.
So
a
people
deep
like him
past
for the
explained.
lack of things they know about him.
Just because people have like mysterious
I
or like
mean-
vague passes doesn't mean they're shit characters.
They
Like,
like him because of what he can do with his fingers. Come on now, let's be real.
yeah, he loves.
I don't
screaming
think
at
we
people, dude.
ever said that he was a shit character. We just said
He's a
Chewbacca's
shit character.
There you
There.
All right. Well, somebody said he's a shit character.
I don't know.
Captain
it's like
Kirk
mainly
is the
people
only
just see him.
redeemable thing. And where's that black guy with the Cyclops visor? Who's that? Him. That guy's a beast.
Bro, he inspired. Oh god, yeah. Him and Cyclops are just boys. I don't know. I feel like he's used as like the wise guy, like on Starfleet and like the Federation ambassador,
All
etc.
right. I have like comparable characters, right? So like Dooku and Spock. Maybe that's a better comparison.
I mean, like
How's that?
Intelligence
How's that
No,
a
wise,
better
yes.
because
comparison?
Dooku's actual goon.
we're not going to include their fucking I mean, we can't include the Force because Spock has like telepathic abilities.
Yeah, because if
and
you
other-
include
No,
the
I don't
Force,
mean
mean-
I don't mean in a fight. Obviously, Dooku would. Slap. I'm talking
Intelligence-wise,
about,
yes.
like characters. They're both like the intelligent
Dooku's-
characters of the series.
Yeah,
He's a
Isn't
pretty
Spock, like,
crazy
one-shot
character.
Batman?
I would be surprised if Spock is something like out of reversal or some shit.
He did. I think he did like pinch Batman's neck and knock him out.
I feel if you do a
Someone
lot of
look
research
that
on
up.
Spock, you can make a good case for him.
No,
he's had
like
a lot of
Dooku.
different-
Stop it. Dooku became one with the universe one time.
Oh, it's not an outlier.
Oh my god.
Basically, Thanos.
Oh, it's not a huge outlier.
Dude, okay, but real shit. All right, so Enterprise or Millennium Falcon, what is more popular?
That's
tough.
Nowadays, that would
That
be
is tough.
arguably Millennium Falcon.
What has the better
but-
feats? All right, what has the better feats? Millennium
Okay,
Falcon
we're
or
all-
Enterprise?
Splash just did this, so enlighten them, Splash.
Well, I was saying Enterprise.
Yeah, you just did
probably
research.
by,
Tell Galactic what you know about it.
like so Enterprise has taken on cubes and survived. Cubes can take like I'd say continental, multi-continental.
Cubes are fucking beasts.
Yeah, like continental, multi-continental blasts.
What is that?
Enterprise,
All right, first of all, stop right there. That's trash.
It's
The
facts.
Millennium Falcon. Are we going to talk about Han Solo, the movie, the Millennium Falcon, flying through that void of fucking
Bro.
planet destroying?
Bro, tell me right now. Tell me, do you know anything about the cubes and Borg coming in here?
I heard continental to multi-continental. That sounds like shit.
But you know a single thing about the cubes? When you said
No, I just heard multi-continental, so I had to stop it.
what
Is that the limit?
interplanetary?
Is it multi-continental?
I mean, they're far superior to the Enterprise, which is a fucking OG. Every encounter, like with a single cube, like results in like heavy losses, and they can destroy.
so the
like,
Enterprise
multiple
is 20%
Federation
of a
ships.
cube. 20% of a cube in power is the Enterprise. It's like 5
They
times
can
stronger than
stomp
the Enterprise.
multiple Federation ships in like minutes, which would crush most Star Wars ships.
Yeah,
that
but the
right,
Millennium
Slash?
Falcon isn't most Star Wars ships. It's the fastest ship in the galaxy.
A cube would
Now
probably
what?
shit on the Falcon.
All right, first of all, the cube is not surviving
It would have to
that
hit it
galaxy
first.
storm.
I do not know how Millennium Falcon would stack up compared to a cube, which is destroys
I'm telling you,
multiple.
that galaxy, that Splash. You remember the Han Solo film, right?
First off, GB, I didn't even know you saw that movie. That movie was GOAT.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've been talking about this whole time. You remember the galaxy storm that they went through that was ripping planets apart?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Millennium Falcon survived that, and it went off
Shit
track, and it
on.
survived like some black hole in the storm.
And there's
So
that
they're
monster.
just super durable or something.
It's durable. It's definitely fast
Hold
enough
on,
to
I'll be
go away
back.
from a black hole.
Okay, I'll say this. You have to admit the Millennium Falcon definitely has better plot armor than the Enterprise.
By far.
Oh hell yeah!
It's like fucking Superman, dude.
Like Ray
Exactly,
didn't know how to
it's-
fly a ship.
Exactly,
and, she was
and the
flying
Millennium Falcon Superman is a great analogy because the Enterprise is Goku, so that just seals the fate of the
No.
Enterprise right there.
I don't know about that comparison.
Why not? Who wins between Superman and Goku?
No.
Oh, that's crazy.
Pretty much shit out here. I don't know, dude.
You a fool for that one, bro.
Without
No,
plot
like
armor,
jokes.
they just
jokes
shit on the
aside,
Millennium Falcon easily.
I think the Millennium Falcon is easily like more agile than the Enterprise.
Didn't the Falcon almost get eaten by the fucking sea worm? What is that thing called?
The Millennium Falcon almost gets everything, but it always comes out on top.
So it's plot armor.
It's Han Solo and Chewie, honestly.
But Superman has like the power to back up his plot arms to like a certain extent. Like the Millennium Falcon's a little
Yeah, the
bitch.
Millennium Falcon has the speed to do it. It's too fast.
it's hyperdrive.
fuck,
It's
dude?
fast as fuck speed.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
it's
sure the Enterprise
as fuck,
is
boy.
just as fast, if not faster.
Didn't the Enterprise get fucking caught up in warp speed?
They can. I mean,
Oh, it's
The
crazy.
cubes
Oh yeah,
itself.
you didn't know I watched that movie, huh? Yeah,
It's crazy, isn't it?
yeah.
The cubes itself, like you are, if I'm not mistaken, much bigger than the Falcon, can transwarp travel, which is like in Star Trek. Warp drive limits are kind of like the main
All right,
extent.
I
of
have a good debate. I have a good debate because I'll be going uphill as shit, and I'll be tagging GB in as well. The new Star Wars movies versus the new Star Trek movies, because I actually love the new Star Trek movies, and I hate the new Star Wars movies, but I'll rep
Hey.
them anyway.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, I like that.
Alright,
That's the
dude.
only reason I like Star Trek now is because of the new Star Wars Star Trek.
I actually thought the Star Trek movies, the recent ones, are really good.
Yeah, they're
Wait,
really
Splash,
good.
have you ever seen the TV shows? Old ones?
Well, like I told you, like Star Trek, my old chemistry teacher was such a big fan that he used to actually raise my grade by like a whole letter grade if I would concede Star Trek was cooler than Star Wars.
Bro, what the?
So like bring your teacher and like that age group over here. If like they were discussing with you guys, and you'd see
Well,
how
he
much
like
more
he
popular.
like
passionate
died
they
of
are.
drinking too much Coca-Cola, so I don't know if they're like the best fan base to bring to the fight. Their
I'm pretty
stamina's
sure a fair
trash,
amount of
but-
like Star Trek fans have like snorted too much snow and died or something. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, like see, like Star Wars fans usually are more fit because we're out here fighting with lightsabers and stuff.
I know my fair amount of fat ass Star Wars fans, but I'll take your word.
We don't count them. They're outliers. They're not the Empire. They just live here.
Well, I think my favorite character in Star Trek is Q, so that's why I wanted you to cover it. I just like John
I
Boyega.
think Kylo Ren's a better character than any Star Trek character.
Ugh.
Get smacked. Obi-Wan's definitely a better character than all of them.
Do you bias towards Star Wars though?
Huh?
Do you? I mean, yeah, you're fair, but like, come on, you have a fair amount of bias towards Star Wars in that respect.
What do you,
And do you know much-
characters? Oh no, I'm
Yeah.
definitely trying to get GB worked up because he's a Kylo Ren fanboy.
Who's
I think he's
GB?
on mute right now. Galactic Lantern. The
Oh.
dude that's been making jokes.
Yeah, the guy with the fucking fat ass Kylo Ren background.
Oh, wait till he
Yeah,
gets
wait,
back.
hold on. What you guys said?
Fucking I was saying your fucking mask is ugly as shit and you're a Vader knockoff.
Oh, that's crazy.
Okay, first of all, he's not a Vader knockoff. He's better than Vader. Let's be honest. Okay, let's be real here. He's more
Dude,
captivating
Vader
than
is an
Vader.
OG. Like Kylo's a little, I don't know, dude.
I'm gonna
Like-
say this, and I know people are gonna get mad. Regardless, then this statement transcends any series, any fiction, anything in life. Being an OG doesn't automatically make you better.
Do you think Kylo is more respectable when Kylo would like jack off in front of Vader's helmet? Like, would that make him a beta male?
just because
He's a beta male.
just because you admire something doesn't mean your story can't be more compelling. Yes, it's because of Vader that Kylo is who he is.
Yep.
But Kylo's story is more relatable than Vader's could ever be, because Vader's story is so enveloped in Star Wars fiction that it's kind of hard to. It's more relatable to be towards Anakin than it is to Vader, because Vader's such a stoic character.
But is that like unfair to kind of say? Because Vader never got the chance to like get kind of out. Like he was always going to be. Put in
Vader
fiction.
had
Like
plenty
he didn't
of
have the
chance. He
same
has-
opportunities as Kylo. Like nowadays, did he? What do you mean?
Vader? What you mean get out? Like you mean
Fiction
like,
wise.
be relatable to the public?
Yeah.
You know, he had plenty of chances. It's just that he's meant to be a stoic character. He's meant to be a stone cold general.
So how is Kylo Ren like relatable? I don't entirely understand how Kylo Ren's supposed to be more relatable because you know, I mean,
Kylo's a character who in today's world especially, he doesn't get he it's not that his parents don't love him, they do, but he just doesn't fit with their views. Even if they did love him, he like the road that they chose for him wasn't what he felt was the right road for him. And the way he goes about that and expressing that in his character and the connections he's building because of that and the friction he causes in the universe because of that is all buried down to like relatable decisions. Like the decisions Kylo makes, if you were in his situation, more people I feel would make the same decision than anyone else.
I think they were badly executed. Like like Solo's death. Like what the fuck, dude? That was shit.
Can you argue that Vader's story is that of someone who wants to do the right thing, but constantly, messes up, or keeps going down the dark path?
Vader, I feel like that was Anakin's. I feel like that was Anakin's story. I feel like when Anakin became Vader, Vader was more of a story of trying to atone for his decisions and his mistakes already, because he's constantly being. I feel like I've said this to Splash before. Vader is a great character. I just find Kylo more relatable. However, Vader and Palpatine as a duo is probably one of the greatest things I've seen portrayed on screen and in the comics and in lore, because their connection, like the things they go through, the mentoring, the tutoring, the teachings, all that stuff that they have as a duo is uncomparable to anything else. So
also, if I could cut in real quick too about Vader, I don't think Vader was ever really, the message was of redemption. It was more so like there's no indication when he was telling Luke to join him that once they overthrew the Emperor, he was suddenly going to be like a Girl Scout, like just passing out cookies and high fives. Like now he's probably still going to go hard in the paint. He just wanted to get rid of Sidious. Like, so it wasn't really redemption for him. It was just like I felt like Sidious, like Swanton bombing, Sidious at the end was like his last FU to the galaxy. To give his son a chance.
When would you say Anakin died and Vader began like Lantern's Head? Like,
well, in the new comics, it's definitely when he got in that fight in his head. I'll let GB. I know GB's a fanboy for that story. The one where he has like this spiritual battle.
Yeah,
when he was still a man. Like, good. Like, wait, is this before the suit?
He goes into this. He passes through this doorway, and this doorway essentially, things can come out of it from different timelines. And what happens is he goes into it and sees everything he would have been capable of had he maintained his body and was Anakin essentially, but Anakin with what Vader became. Like essentially, if Anakin became Vader through conventional means, because the way he became Vader was very unconventional. It wasn't really planned. It wasn't what Sidious had planned, and that's gone over many times in lore how Obi-Wan essentially got lucky that day or whatever.
He had the high ground.
Yeah, exactly. So in this thing, he kind of sees himself killing all the Jedi. He sees Obi-Wan fighting Sidious. He sees Padme, and Padme just calls him a monster. And this is him in his purest form, and he's still rejected by Padme because Padme wouldn't have wanted that for him anyway. And that's probably one of the best stories of Vader himself. But although it ultimately still ties to Palpatine because Palpatine is the root cause of everything that he went through.
I mean,
And I feel
even
like just because of how good they are and what's set in place, that's why I'm really excited for this next movie, because I feel like this is gonna give Kylo a really good chance to further cement how relatable his story is. He's really he just doesn't belong, as even though they try to put him in this situation where he knows what he wants to do versus Rey, who's just kind of like plodding along. If you really look at it from an outside perspective, and just look at both characters, Rey and Kylo, they're kind of the same thing. It's just that they're in different positions of power.
And you can argue Kylo goes harder than Vader, which would be really controversial because he witnessed Luke tank all that AT-AT fire and brush his shoulder off, and instead of running, he said, "Let me down. Let me go throw the ones with him." And Vader was terrified of Sidious for so long.
Why was there
And then
deaths?
and that's what I guess the new series of Kylo is supposed to illustrate is his view on Vader and the Empire changed fundamentally after like the last movie and even the movie before that, because he was like, the Empire and Vader, they never really had the guts to do anything.
so
Like they
do you
never
think
actually
that
pulled the trigger.
do you think it's a
Hold
little like unfair comparison though? Because maybe Kylo learned from Vader's faults and learned to adapt to.
Well, Splash. I don't even think Vader was necessarily like terrified. He just knew that he would lose due to like the suit's like
Yeah,
Limitations.
if anyone
like
thinks Kylo truly believed he was gonna smack that Luke, like get out of here.
no, but like what you were saying though, like I don't think he necessarily went harder than Vader. I think Vader just knew his limits on what he couldn't do and just didn't try to do it. Like he knew
No, I
that
think
he wasn't gonna be able to beat Sidious with like
I
the
think what
faults that were
Splash
planted
means
in the suit and shit.
I think what Splash means when he says that Kylo goes harder than Vader is that Vader would never, once he became Vader, the times and places that occurred where Vader would let emotion get the better of him were few and far between, because Palpatine slowly whittled that out of his system. Because whenever he would lash out, Palpatine would punish him or like strike him down really quick. Kylo was rebellious towards Snoke a lot. Like he would speak out of term, he would scream, he would lash out, and Snoke would constantly force lightning him or use the force to bring him to his knees, something like that. And he was constantly trying to plot against Snoke in a very obvious manner. Whereas like when people talk about Vader plotting against Palpatine, for a long time that was just like fan headcanon. That was just like what fans thought was going on the whole time, and then like it was later expanded upon in story to be true. But it's very blatant that Kylo doesn't agree with what the Empire stands for, and it's very blatant he also doesn't agree with what the Jedi stand for, and he thinks both sides are pointless.
Yeah, he literally said, "Burn it all." Like Kylo literally was like, "I'm tired of there being a template I'm supposed to follow. I'm tired of everyone having this idea, these ideals we're supposed to stick to." That's what made them weak. Which in some ways he's actually right. Like trying to conform to a certain pattern, to a certain idea can make you like inherently weak to certain things. And so like that's his whole idea, and that's what he's bringing into like the finale of the movies.
And if you look at Kylo, if you look at Kylo, all the biggest deaths in Star Wars, like the most impactful deaths in Star Wars, are connected to him. Han Solo dying was impactful. That was directly at Kylo's hands. Luke Skywalker dying was very impactful. That was connected to Kylo. And not only that, all the lives that Kylo has taken with the what was that place, that thing called, the Death Star thing? I forgot what that planet was called.
Star Killer Base.
Yeah, the Star Killer Base. Yeah, that's what it's called. The lives he's taken with that, like, that plan changed the political outlook of Star Wars dramatically. And then Kylo doesn't stop there. He then kills Snoke. Splash disagrees with the thing. He has his own theory on that, but just for like what the movie portrayed, he killed Snoke. And then he finishes off with everything. And the general, the commander says, "Oh, the Sith Lord or whatever the fuck, he's dead." And then Kylo's like, "Who's dead?" And he's implying that he's the new, he's the new Lord or whatever. It's like he takes things into his own hands by just destroying everything around him, and he's successfully, almost, I want to say, he's kind of completed his mission, because now he's just doing things of his free will.
What was his original goal? Like entirely? Like what do you mean now?
To be
just-
like Vader.
Yeah, to separate. His goal was
But
eventually
Kylo was
to
free, and
separate
Vader was held back by Palpatine.
No, Kylo was under
but
Snoke.
Vader-
Snoke literally bred him.
Yeah,
Are you comparing, I guess, the killing of Snoke to Palpatine?
No, because one died doing it and knew he was going to die doing it. One did it like a savage.
I mean, I think
Well,
they're both
Kylo,
doing
like-
it savagely.
Yeah, like Kylo masked his true intentions from somebody like Snoke, who can like read minds and shit from like a galaxy away. But anyway, that's neither what here nor there. The point is that,
Well,
like,
if you want some
Kylo-
scaling, right? Luke scaled above Vader towards their final bite in Return of the Jedi because he got into Vader's head and literally read him like a book when he said, "Father, your thoughts have failed you" and stuff. Vader could block himself from Sidious, but Kylo could block his stuff from Snoke, and Snoke finessed an older, wiser Luke. So
A lot of stuff.
So it's just a matter of like, Kylo knew what Vader truly wanted to do through the means of the dark side, but this also expands upon the theory that a lot of people had, or not even theory, I would say the feeling, the outlook that people had when they say the dark side of the Force isn't exactly bad. It just means
I would say,
you go
dude,
about
Kylo showed like a level of maturity. Since me and GB are just like pissing people off for real. He showed like a level of maturity on par with Ghost Yoda, because if you remember from The Last Jedi, Kylo refused to pull the trigger on Leia. And the reason I think he did that is because he killed Han, his father, for the sole purpose of fully going over to the dark side and becoming like super powerful. And he realized that didn't work. And so killing Leia, in my opinion, to him was like, this is redundant. This won't actually bring me my goal. And that goes against the teachings of the dark side and like the scholarly teachings. And that's the same thing Yoda said to Luke when Yoda burned all the Jedi teachings. He's like, they're just books, bro.
yeah, like
The
as a matter of
Force
fact,
can't
if
be
you watch
defined by that.
If you watch the movie, Luke says himself, the Jedi must come to an end, and everything must come to an end. Kylo's literally fulfilling that. They just live on different spectrums. And this, like I said, this explores the viewpoint that the dark side isn't necessarily bad. It's just
That's
a
different
more
viewpoints?
extreme way. It's like an extreme way of accomplishing things.
It's
which is
the
why it's
equivalent
kind
of
like
Galactus in Marvel Comics. Galactus isn't like evil. He's just nature.
He's a hungry boy.
Yeah, he's a force of nature.
Like the dark
Force
side is just
nature.
essentially, yeah, the dark side is essentially everything that comes natural to you that you should ignore through morals, like, whatever people consider morals to be. But like morally, like, you should ignore temptation and anger and hate. You shouldn't commit actions based on those emotional feelings, and that's what people of the dark side usually give into. That's what they ride on. And Kylo has been doing that, but through like confusion and not understanding where he belongs and stuff, he's really a captivating character. Whereas Vader, I feel like, and I specify Vader because I separate Anakin from Vader. Vader isn't really relatable at all. Like he's kind of just a goon who just does what he wants. You would love to be Vader because he's a goon, but I mean nobody's really Vader. How many of y'all are gonna go into your job tomorrow and just start killing off coworkers? Like
Comparing Darkseid to Kylo.
Isn't that what
Start killing off coworkers.
Kylo does?
Comparing Darkseid to Kylo, do you think there's an equivalent to like the anti-life equation then, or something? Like,
I don't know. Splash. I think Splash made that comparison. I missed it. I'm not sure.
No, I made
No,
the
I'm just
comparison of
curious.
Galactus being the constant force of like the end of things and stuff.
Oh, when you were talking about Dark Side, you meant like Dark Side of the Force. So.
Yeah.
Okay. No, he thought you meant like.
I feel
Dark
just
Side,
like the equation making like everything hopeless is probably just like something about like inevitable fate or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what the dark side is. It's like
I mean,
the way we interpret things. So like you especially see this in the EU. They're not afraid of the dark side because they understand it's natural. It exists. Like that's just how it is. It's how you embrace it that makes it
and
better.
another thing too about Kylo, like people constantly say he's a bitch. I understand where that comes from. Like, believe me, I understand that because Kylo as a character, he's not the type of shit you want to see on the screen. Nobody wants to see everyday shit on screen. Like the way Kylo reacts to things is kind of like how most people in the world react to shit that he goes through, or something relatable to what he would go through, because people would react the same way in that situation. It's just you don't want to see that on screen. That's not somebody you want to idolize because that's something you already are. But it being something we already are, or most of us are already, is what I find interesting about his character, because I can agree with the sentiment behind his decision, and I can agree with like some things he does.
But
It's just a movie. My God,
which Vader you're talking about? Are you talking
It's real life, first of all.
it's just a movie, bro. It ain't that serious.
Strictly movie Vader, or just all versions of Vader, like from the comics as well?
We know Star Killer slaps.
Oh,
By the way,
so-
Kylo Ren took on like the embodiment of feminism and didn't back down. So definitely goes harder than Vader.
So Gallon
GG for
slaps.
this
Right.
recording. GG. Oh my god.
Dude, if you don't think Rey is more feminism than Captain Marvel, you're lost.
Wait, you think Rey's
Daisy Ridley's fine as fuck.
Oh my god. Dude, Rey literally walked up on Snoke and said no to him, and that was a reasonable counter to Snoke.
Have
He
you
should scale
seen
this
Daisy
idiot.
Ridley's
women's
legs?
rights?
Huh? Who the hell
Yo,
keeps
the
talking about
first
Daisy
time-
Ridley's legs?
Yo, the
nigga said,
first
"Huh?"
time, like, Rey finds out that she has force abilities, she overpowers Kylo that's been training for fucking years. Just automatically overpowers him.
I mean,
Yeah, but that's
she
like
lost her
Brock
first
Lesnar going into the WWE and finding out he can wrestle. Like that's not fair.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's
Shut
100%
up.
bullshit.
She's strong.
Except Brock Lesnar is a better character than Rey. I don't know.
No,
Oh,
I'm not
that's
saying she's a
crazy.
better character. I'm just saying her realization of force ability is like Brock Lesnar's character coming to fruition in WWE. It's a strong ass character. She's broke.
That's how hard.
Like,
Do you think it has to do with
People
her
act
being a
like-
female though?
I mean,
Like,
I
what if
definitely
Finn
think
did
that if Finn did it, like that, a lot of people like thought he was gonna be the Jedi guy because of the trailer.
Finn was lit. I mean,
Finn was cool.
Finn's a
Rey.
good character. Finn's a really good
Finn's
character.
fucking worthless.
Okay,
He's still cool, though.
Whoa, first of all,
please
Worth it
DC.
to Battlefront
on Battlefront
Please
2,
DC.
bitch.
Don't say
Fuck.
that. dude.
come see me on Battlefront 2 with Finn. But
Get fucked.
check this out. Real talk though. I'm not gonna say that she's powerful directly because of feminism. I think that her lack of story and why she's so strong has to do with the feminism thing. Because it's kind of like, oh well, you know, she's a woman. We need her to be equal to Kylo, and then we don't have the story to back that up. Fuck it, whatever, wing it. Like that's kind of what happened. So I guess it's like kind of partially at fault, but I don't have a problem with her being that strong. I mean, she's not the first Star Wars character to
Well,
randomly
yeah,
pop
to
up
like
and be
elaborate
broke.
on that, it's basically a case of where all of us are like, why is she that strong? The counter we've been given is, why do you hate that a female's strong? Like, what?
Yeah. I don't
Anakin
care that she's that
bodies.
strong. Like I don't care that she's that strong. I just hate that because there's a lack of story there because she needed to be strong because she's a woman. If they would have provided story as of to why she's so damn strong, I wouldn't care. It's like, okay, fine, thank you for the story. Why the hell did this bitch just randomly get knocked out and then she wakes up and all of a sudden she's resisting Kylo? What is happening here? What is going on? Something is terribly wrong.
And
It
not
was
only
Snoke.
is her
It
not
was
only
Snoke.
is her strength unwarranted and unexplained, it's damaging other characters' stories.
I don't like
Like
that.
Kylo should have been that guy, for sure. And then he gets nagged by some girl with a staff.
I
who
just
just
want
says no.
I want Ray to just leave the franchise.
Okay, first of all, don't ever try to get Daisy Ridley off screen. I don't care how you feel about Daisy Ridley. She's fine as fuck, and she can be on screen all she wants.
Mm-hmm.
God, this man GB's not arguing from a story standpoint at all.
That's
You're not even
not a
arguing
good
for Ray. You're arguing
argument.
for Daisy.
Listen, we're not going to get into the specifics.
Stop getting
She's big
semantical
tits,
slash.
so I'll just cast her for the role. Yeah.
A splash.
Fuck that.
Oh.
Daisy Ridley has crazy calves. It's fucking ridiculous.
She's thick, dude.
Okay, listen. I will debate you on if you have a worse character in Star Trek than we do in Ray. No, not Ray. I'll use Finn's girl.
Oh my
Forgot
god.
her name. She was so bad.
Her name was
Dude,
gross.
Dude,
Pog.
That whole storyline was terrible.
Let's talk about how the Pogs in Star Wars are better than
Porgs?
Spock. Yeah, the Porgs.
No, not
Dude,
porgs.
give me an
Porgs.
Ewok. An Ewok is scarier than anything in Star Trek. Go play Ewok Hunt on Battlefront. It's terrifying.
And I don't find Ewoks scary. I can apparently sense them in the night. So
Shut up. Yeah, but nah, Ewoks go hard in the paint.
Ewoks rely on slingshots and spears.
And get dubs.
That's gonna penetrate alien metal.
Conan the Barbarian relies on that stuff, and he's like outer versal.
Yeah, come on.
yeah, exactly.
Do Ewoks have plot armor?
Yes.
Oh, the Ewoks for sure have plot armor. You know how many stormtroopers have invaded that planet, and they've been told to just avoid it at all costs now?
They got helped by the rebels.
They didn't need help. The rebels just want to be there for extra credit because they wanted the news story.
So Ewoks could just fucking take over
If
whatever they
Ewoks
wanted.
wanted to,
No, the Ewoks literally did do everything.
They just
Yeah.
gonna take over the fucking universe. Okay.
you didn't hear them just going, wow! Fucking just in the woods. They're just going off.
Is that your mating call or something?
That's their battle cry. But yeah, I don't know. I think like all seriousness, Ray is an Ray. Honestly, Kylo carries the fuck out of Ray, and that's how good of a character Kylo is. He carries the fuck out of Ray in that movie, especially in the last one. Oh my god, when he tells her that she's nobody, but she doesn't have to be because to him, like that. That literally almost fixed her character. That literally almost fixed her character because they gave her like an actual meaning in the story. But then they reject it because oh, no, I don't want to be with you. No, no. And
No.
it's like they got like shit all over the good writing. But Kylo's a beast. I don't care. Suck my dick.
I wouldn't say that.
I'm ending on that note.